How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. I'll be honest. Honest opinion. When you seen the rumors swirling, or I shouldn't say the rumors, but the talk swirling around Bengals fans saying they should bring back Marvin Lewis. After what we've seen now, 2 years out of Zac Taylor, this Bengals team has got all of 4 wins now in 2 years under Zac Taylor. And, depending if they win any games to finish out this season. And now there's been a lot of talk, everybody's looking back. Hey, let's not forget, Marvin Lewis was a guy we just could not wait to get rid of in Cincinnati for year after year after year after year after year. Finally, he's gone. Zac Taylor comes in and everybody takes a step back. I'll be the first one to say, I admit I was one of them, take a step back and say, you know what? Maybe Marvin Lewis wasn't that bad. Maybe Marvin Lewis did what he could do or did best with what he had on this team. Let's not forget, he brought Andy Dalton into the league. They won the playoffs 5 straight years. Andy Dalton, who, by the way, is probably playing on the most stacked offense he's ever played on this year, and he's struggling. In the 16 years Marvin Lewis was with the Bengals, only twice did he actually finish a season with fewer than 6 wins. And one of those times was the year that Carson Palmer missed, 12 games or something that season. So he did a pretty good job with working with what he had here. Now, obviously, the number one thing that I'm gonna, the things I'm thinking about here is, first of all, I think this guy always brought in good personnel. Look at how many times he brought in OCs, DCs that went on to get head coaching jobs. That kind of gives you an idea of how good of, or who's bringing in good staff. You're not seeing that out of Zac Taylor right now. I think it's everybody's, probably his biggest concern is just the coaching staff surrounding him right now. But you look at that and say, this guy was always putting together a solid defense, a very solid defense. Defense wins championships, and I was really favoring this offense, even when they struggled to kind of put a little bit of a blind eye to it because of the fact that the way the defense was playing kept these guys competitive. But the number one concern with Marvin Lewis, and this is why I think, I'm going to say it, I would not be against 1 year. 1 year, that's it, that's all. What do you do it? I can't imagine, I don't know. But 1 year, Marvin Lewis, this is it. You got 1 year to try to prove to us you can do this. And here's my reason for that. Andy Dalton. And even sometimes AJ Green. These guys couldn't perform under the spotlight. And that's why you've seen this team, despite making playoffs consecutive year after year after year after year, they struggled because the spotlight came on and all of a sudden the big lights, they couldn't handle it. And now seeing how Dalton is doing outside of Cincinnati and seeing how good Joe Burrow is doing with Cincinnati, it would almost be something to see how would the Cincinnati Bengals do with a Joe Burrow-led offense, Marvin Lewis as the coach. Because let's not forget, it's easy to forget everything, how much has changed in Cincinnati from when Marvin came to when he ended all of the, those such an undesirable place to play in Cincinnati. That's the reason Palmer went out in the first place. The scouting department was depleted. Everybody always loves talking about the outdoor facility. There was a lot that changed for the better when Marvin Lewis came to town. But what I was getting at and getting distracted there is thinking Carson Palmer. Let's think about, we'll never forget it. Steelers Bengals playoff game. Palmer goes down, ACL out. They were playing well that game. They weren't half asleep every other playoff game the Bengals made it to. It seemed like they didn't, they just felt like they had a lack of leadership. Joe Burrow has proven he's got that leadership. I wonder what the Bengals would look like. Could you imagine putting a good defense behind Joe Burrow, who right now has proven he can work with just about anything and look like an all-star out there? And can the Bengals be successful with that Marvin Lewis defensive mind and that Joe Burrow-led offense? The concern that comes out, besides the fact that I'd like to see what happens in the big games, because that's where the Bengals' issues were when they were successful over these years. I'd like to see what happens in the big games. That's why I'd say 1 year. And I'd also like to see how Marvin Lewis treats Joe Burrow in his offense, because one of the other big concerns with the Bengals, one thing I've loved about them this year, they're more aggressive. They've always been very conservative. You get to the 2-minute warning, they're happy with running the ball out, killing the clock, punting it, giving the other team the ball back. They've always had a very conservative mindset under Marvin Lewis, and it cost them games, and it drove me up the wall. But now the more you look again at the way Andy Dalton's playing in Dallas, how he played last year, you wonder if they was playing the conservative type of game style because he just didn't have that sort of let him loose type of confidence and Andy Dalton. And if that's the case, he's just saying, I'm trying to be a smart coach here, and instead of having him turn the football over in the final 2 minutes, we're just going to punt the ball and have our solid defense try to slow things down. I will say this, though, as far as I've been a very big advocate of don't sign coaches that got fired. Why sign a guy that lost his job? He got fired for a reason. Why bring them back? And that goes across the league for other coaches. And there's not a whole lot out there once you get past that. And I think that's another thing you look at with the Bengals here is, that's obviously a concern. Do you really want to bring back Marvin Lewis? You just had it for how many years? Do you want to try him out? I get it. But maybe there's a plug. Again, just that 1 year filler, and maybe somebody else comes through rises through the masses. That's a better looking coaching option. Because I'll be honest, a lot of the coaches I've seen right now that, the people want to see the Bengals go out there and sign again. I'm not a big fan of the guys that have been fired. And I've also seen, was it the Chiefs offensive coordinator job? Or offensive coordinator they're talking about. And my one concern with that is obviously this guy is the offensive coordinator for the best quarterback in the league. I mean, anybody's going to look good behind him. And that's my big concern with that. I want to see a more proven, what I liked out of Hugh Jackson, as much as he struggled as a coach, we proved one thing though, and he made that Bengals offense stellar back there with Andy Dalton. That was taking an average quarterback and making a good offense. That's what I consider a good offensive coordinator. I'm a little leery of taking a quarterback or offensive coordinator off a team that is best in the league, with or without him, probably up there top 5. So that's what opens the window there. Potentially wait 1 more year, but you want to try to be competitive right now as well. So you go out there, bring in Marvin for a year, see how it goes. Hey, they go 12-4, 13-3, and you say, all right, Marvin, here's your extension. Win a playoff game. If they win a playoff game. If not, then you say, okay, what's out there this year as far as coaches are concerned? Maybe a little bit better, dip your toes in there. That's our thoughts, though. What are you guys thinking? Marvin Lewis, crazy talk over here in Cincinnati after all these years. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.